I say a lot of controversial things on this show. Sonic Adventure's not all that good. Nuts and Bolts isn't all that bad. Feminism is something that's desperately needed in the gaming industry. But what if I were to tell you that the most important Mario game of all time was actually technically not a Mario game? Yeah, this could get awkward. It's no surprise that the Super Mario franchise is the series that I've covered the most on RFC. After all, Nintendo's mascot is one of the biggest pop culture icons in the world. Starting out as the protagonist Jumpman in the arcade hit Donkey Kong, and eventually gaining a name in Donkey Kong Jr., this Italian plumber only truly became a legend with the release of the Nintendo Entertainment System and its launch title, Super Mario Bros. It was a raging success that single-handedly saved the home console market, and thus left Nintendo with pretty big shoes to fill when it came time to develop a sequel. But for some reason, Super Mario Bros. Didn't just get a sequel. In fact, it got two of them. By the way, just to keep this from getting too confusing, I'm going to refer to the American game as Super Mario Bros. 2 and the Japanese game as The Lost Levels, because that's how Nintendo wants to do it, and, sometimes they're smart. The Lost Levels was Nintendo's first attempt at creating a second adventure for Mario, which, as it turned out, was remarkably similar to his first one. The game used the same engine, same enemies, and only improved on a few graphical assets. The main changes were in the levels themselves, which were made to truly challenge the skills of those that had mastered the original game. Instead of beginning with a single Goomba and an easy-to-reach mushroom, the Lost Levels had you dealing with bounce physics and a poison mushroom right off the bat. The design focus here was on players that had already beaten Super Mario Bros. And wanted to continue on as if that game had never ended. World 1 of the Lost Levels was essentially World 9 of the first game. And, that can be fine for a normal sequel, but while Super Mario Bros. Was big in Japan, that was nothing compared to the shockwaves that the Nintendo Entertainment System was starting to make in America. Mario was rapidly becoming a phenomenon, and if Nintendo wanted to keep the momentum going, they'd need something more than just a difficult new set of levels. They needed something fresh, something that would further open up this world they'd created. And true, they were technically already working on a third installment that would fulfill these requirements, but the Americans needed to be entertained now, dang it. And thus, Nintendo made one of the smartest moves of their career. And by that, I mean they took a non-Mario game they just finished, gave it a new coat of paint, and completely redefined what a video game series could be. No biggie. Now, at first glance, Super Mario Bros. 2 doesn't seem all that different from the multitude of platformers that we know and love today. You're still jumping through levels, defeating small enemies, occasionally getting a power-up to even the odds. Nintendo was wise in picking Doki Doki Panic as the game to base their sequel off of, because it already shared many defining features of the Mario franchise. However, Nintendo's choice here was a vital one, as the things that make Super Mario Bros. 2 the black sheep of the family and stand apart are exactly what this series needed. Let's break it down, shall we? The original Super Mario Bros. Emphasizes constant forward movement, and is focused on teaching the player how to master control of Mario. With only one character and the inability to move your point of view backwards and explore, the player has to consistently try to get as far as they can, learn from any mistakes they make, and then try again with a better understanding of the situation and the muscle memory required to conquer it. Super Mario Bros. 2, on the other hand, starts off by letting you choose one of 4 vastly different characters, then spawns them in midair in an area that allows you to go back and forth and learn that this time, jumping on enemies won't be enough. Still retaining some of that Arabian Nights adventure feel from Doki Doki Panic's original setting, Super Mario Bros. 2 is more focused on testing the player's brain and problem-solving abilities rather than just their reflexes. Bomb puzzles, locked doors, and the inclusion of actual dungeons to explore all add to this feeling of Mario and his friends going on an epic journey through a new land. Speaking of friends, the inclusion of Luigi, Toad, and Princess Peach as playable characters speaks volumes about the game's design motivations. While Lost Levels had slightly higher jumping and different traction for Luigi, Super Mario Bros. 2 is the first time that each of these now classic Mario characters got any semblance of personality, all expressed through gameplay. Mario's the average one, Luigi's got a nervous flutter kick, Princess Peach is elegant and can float over enemies, and Toad, well, Toad is Toad. A franchise is only as strong as its cast, and Nintendo took the opportunity to take the traits from Doki Doki Panic's family and install them onto the heroes of the Mario franchise in ways that made sense. Players were encouraged to try out new characters for different levels, something that wasn't even allowed in the original Doki Doki Panic. Variety and thinking for yourself were the emphasis here, and along with the creation of Shy Guys, Birdos, and more, the Mario world was finally allowed to grow beyond the simple blocks and bricks of Super Mario Bros. These days, Mario is still one of gaming's biggest franchises, and variety is still one of its greatest features. Every character has their own spin-off story to be told, and every now and then they'll all join together to play golf, go racing, or just have a party. The series is about more than just running forward and jumping on turtles. It's about characters that we grew up with that can still entertain us no matter what type of game we're in the mood to play. There was one single moment where Nintendo had a choice to make. Whether to continue with what was guaranteed to work, to just keep making more levels for the same game, or to take a risk and make a statement that the Super Mario Bros. Could be more than that. They looked at Doki Doki Panic, at the quirky sense of adventure it created, and said, yes, that's our Mario. And you know what? I'd have to say that that decision was really freaking clever. Hey, if you like this video, why not hit that subscribe button? You could also hit the like button. You could even hit the comment button. I don't think there's a comment button. I think it's more of a box. But it's a box that you can put words in, and then I can read them later. And there'll probably also be some mean people in there, so I'll read those and cry. But if you comment nice things, then I'll smile and be happy and be like, yay, nice people. If you want to keep up with whatever I'm up to, which usually isn't a lot, but it could be interesting, why don't you check out my Twitter too? I went too long. The music's not playing anymore, is it? Gosh, I gotta start scripting these things out. Is that Pepsi can looking at me? I'm like recording this at like 4 in the morning. What am I doing with my life?